Today's story goes back 200 years. Deep in Russia, a Yid named David. David owned a tavern in town. A tavern is where you go and you can have a drink, you can drink some wine, you can get a meal, you can have a good night's sleep. And travelers would stop in David's inn. He was always friendly to them. He would take care of them. His wine was always strong. People loved it. And his beds were warm and clean. And David was very successful in his tavern. One day, many soldiers came into town. And at the front was the general. And they were coming into town and they were tired from all their fighting. But the general was very thirsty. He wanted to celebrate his victories. He said, "Go get me some vodka. Go get me some wine. I heard that David has a great tavern where they have the strongest wine in town. Oh, I would love to have some wine now. We can get drunk and party like real Goyim." Well, they went to the tavern. As they got closer, they saw a sign hanging at the door. "Sorry, we're closed." And they saw 2 candles burning in the window. David lived upstairs and the tavern was downstairs. They didn't know that it was Shabbos, it was Friday night. Well, 2 of the soldiers went, knocked on the door. David heard the noise. He came downstairs. He said, "Sorry, we're closed. It's Shabbos. The tavern is closed." Well, the soldiers screamed, "The general will be very upset. He said we shouldn't come back without some wine." David thought for a minute and said, "You know what?" He said, "Here are the keys to the tavern. You and the general, why don't you go in and just drink whatever you want. You can be my guest. No charge, because I can't take any money on Shabbos." Well, they went back to the general holding the keys, saying, "Look what we got. We got the keys to the tavern." The general, he was very shocked. What's wrong with this Jew? Here I am offering him double the money, triple the money, but he refuses to take any money on Shabbos. Instead, he would rather give me the keys to the tavern and let me just drink for free? This is interesting. I got to go meet this guy. So the general goes and he wants to meet David. So he comes into David's house just as David's singing, "Heiliger Shabbos, Heiliger Shabbos, sing to the world, good Shabbos." And he walks in and David stands up and says, "Honored General, what a privilege to have you in my home. What can I do for you?" The general said, "What's going on here? I'm offering you money and you refuse to take any money from me?" Well, David said, "Today is Shabbos, but I'd like to invite the general to be a guest at my Shabbos table. Free of charge. Why don't you join us for this wonderful Shabbos meal?" Wow, the general had no idea what Shabbos was, but he couldn't refuse this invitation. He said, "This is interesting. Let me see what this is about." Well, they sat him at the head of the table and they started feeding General all the delicious foods of Shabbos. When they finished, the general got up and thanked David and his wife. He wished them all the best. He offered to leave them money, but they refused to take any money. David said, "You are my guest. You're my Shabbos guest. And on Shabbos, we don't take any money." He wished them the best and he saw him out. A few months later, something terrible happened. There were people that were creating a rebellion. They were enemies of the Tsar of Russia. They wanted to overthrow the Tsar. And they used to hang out in David's tavern at night, drinking their beer and talking and planning about how they're going to overthrow the government. The Russians found out about this and they said, "Where are these meetings being taken place? Where are our enemies holding their meetings?" They're holding these meetings at David's tavern? Well, David must be part of the rebellion too. And they came and they arrested David and they grabbed him and they threw him in jail. They threw him in jail and they said, "You're an enemy of the state. We're going to kill you because you're an enemy and you're planning against the government." Well, you can imagine David was so sad he was sitting in prison. One day, the great general came to the prison and he happened to visit. And he looks over and he sees David sitting in the corner of his cell, learning some Torah. He opened the door. He said, "My friend David, my friend, what are you doing in prison?" David started crying and saying, "They think I'm an enemy. They were planning things, but really, I'm just working in the tavern. I'm minding my own business. I have nothing to do with them. The general said, I know you, because I know you're an honest person. I know that when I offered you triple the amount of money for a little bit of wine on Shabbos, you refused to take it. I know you're a man of principle. I know you're a man of honor. I know you're honest. I'm going to get you out of here and I'm going to free you. It says the general went and freed David, and he was free to go back home. When David came back home, his wife was so happy. Oh, David, welcome home. What a miracle. I've been davening and praying. How did you get freed? Well, David said, my dear wife, this is the reward for keeping Shabbos. When a Yid doesn't give in, no matter what, he would rather give away all his livelihood than break the importance of Shabbos. That's the reason why Shabbos saved him. If we protect Shabbos, the Shabbos will protect us. I wish us all a beautiful Shabbos.